those individuals that you see that are pro-CCP, are they residents of the United States? Are they students going to the universities in this country, or are they flying in from China? Can you give us a breakdown of what you're observing in terms of those that are, welcoming Chairman Xi and they're flying the Communist Chinese flag?
Great question, Zach. So I did talk to a lot of them from the counter-protesters group, and I see a lot of young students. Some students are from local universities and colleges right here in San Francisco. They're very young. They're in their maybe late teens or even early 20s. And so I asked them, why do you want to come here to welcome the CCP leader, Xi Jinping? Aren't you here in America to pursue American dream, which runs totally, in ideology, in way of life, is totally contrary to the Chinese Communist Party? And the students had no word to reply to my question. And I also met the Chinese American people traveling from New Jersey, from Chicago, from Texas. Again, they're all being paid by the CCP spy operative. And a lot of them, people told me that they are U.S. citizens. This is extremely disturbing, troubling to me, because these people, they have become a U.S. citizen, okay? And they should be loyal to this country. They should have been loyal to America's biggest enemy. And right now, they're taking money. They're being paid by a foreign adversary government to come here to counter-protest the American patriot who are going there to protest against Xi Jinping. So I want our lawmakers to pass a law to restrict the U.S. citizen or the international students studying in this country on American tax dollar grant or scholarship to take money, take direction from a foreign government to protest against American values.
And these students are on student visas, correct?
Yes, some are on student visa, and some are actually born here. And and then they're especially American citizens. They have become naturalized U.S. citizens. And now they are taking orders and even being paid by the CCP to come here.
So, Nicole, these individuals, U.S. citizens, they're welcoming Chairman Xi with Chinese communist flags, giving him a warm reception. They're being paid. Let me ask you this question, and if you can educate the people of Tucson, are these people's families in mainland China being threatened if these students don't go and protest? Or are they just doing it for the money? Or are they doing it for the money with some kind of threat made against their families back home?
Well, I think people did not have to go because because there are a lot of people that I know, my personal friends, they've been in this country for many years, and some are students and some are U.S. citizens. They didn't have to go. They're coming here to protest against Xi Jinping. This is a free country. This is not communist China. You're not going to be punished by not joining the pro-CCP, group. And so that's why it's a personal choice. But I think a lot of people are doing this because because of ignorance or because of, they haven't fully been assimilated into the American way of life or American way of thinking. But you know what? I don't blame them because, Zach, if you look at how the corporate America business elites, they're paying $40,000
yes, we will get there.
To sit on the same table with Xi Jinping. And so there are also American government and lawmakers and elites are welcoming Xi Jinping. So I think, let's be fair that this is really a common disease in this country.
There is the APEC conference, the Asian Pacific Economic Conference. And essentially we have the big guy, right? Joe Biden, our president, meeting with the head of the Chinese Communist Party, Chairman Xi. What's the atmosphere before we get into the goals of the meeting and so forth? What are you observing, Nicole, since you've been there?
So, Zach, a great question. I came here on Saturday,
okay.
and trying to get things set up and prepare for the big protest coming up today when our President Joe Biden meets with the CCP leader Xi Jinping. So the atmosphere in the city of San Francisco is intense because I can see the police and secret police forces everywhere, and they have set up the heavy-duty metal barricades at the main street where all the delegates are going through right before the Moscone West Conference Center. And I haven't seen any homeless people's tent. Sacramento did a very good job to meet with Xi Jinping's demands because we got the sources telling us that one of the Xi Jinping's demands is no protesters
Correct.
being allowed to be seen by him, which doesn't mean that people are not coming. And in fact, starting Sunday, I see people traveling from all over the country and probably the world, the Tibetans and pro-Uyghurs
Correct.
and pro-democracy, human rights activists, and even people from China traveling tens of thousands of miles coming here. They hold up their banners that Xi Jinping, return my husband, return my wife, and, return my home because their loved ones have been murdered by the CCP and their home and the properties have been seized by Xi Jinping. So, and then at the same time, I see hundreds, probably thousands of the CCP's foot soldiers being hired by the CCP's consulate or embassies in the U.S. That's called the CCP spy operatives. They also organize the counter-protesters,
Correct.
Showing up at every main street. And these people, I actually talked to them, and they told me they were hotels and airfares and even everything was paid off by the CCP. So they're just being hired to come here to say to send the warm welcome message to Xi Jinping.
So in San Francisco, the Asian Pacific Economic Conference is occurring. What are the goals for President Joe Biden and Chairman Xi of the CCP? Chairman Xi is definitely facing some economic woes in China. And there's, some grumblings back in mainland China of his leadership. So what are both leaders looking to get out of this conference that's occurring in San Francisco?
Well, I agree with you. Both leaders are challenged at home. Actually, they're facing unprecedented level of challenges, both economically and politically. We know Xi Jinping is not only facing the economical disaster at home, but also politically. He has sacked many of his own appointees, the former the former foreign minister, the defense minister, and many top leaders in the military. So he was not enjoying political stability at home. So he's definitely looking for this meeting with Joe Biden to establish, that he's still in control, that he still can sit with the leader of the world's most powerful nation, which is the U.S. President Joe Biden, and having a good time. So he's definitely resorting to this meeting as a PR strategy. And for our U.S. President Joe Biden, he already said ahead of his departure for California, he said he is expecting to manage the U.S.-China relationship back on a normal course with China. And what he meant by normal course is probably, he was referring to before the CCP spy balloon was flying over the American sky, before the Middle East crisis, and even before many of the national security concerns being talked about in this country, because according to the most recent poll by Chicago, a PR company, more than 52% of the American general public believes the rise of the CCP presents a critical threat to America. So I think if Mr. Biden is seeking re-election next year, he has to play a tough card on China. Otherwise, it's very hard for him to win the popularity.
So what are your thoughts on these corporations paying $40,000 a head to meet with Chairman Xi over a nice filet mignon?
Well, let's be clear. These corporations, they're never for the interest of we the people in this country. They're the ones who have shipped millions of well-paid jobs to the CCP sweatshops, to use the cheap slave labor in the Uyghurs concentration camp. Well, American workers are out of the job. And so these people, they don't represent American people's interest, and they want to suck up to Xi Jinping and have a good relation so that they continue to exploit the CCP slave labor market. But on the same time, these companies have been bullied by the CCP in China because the CCP passed a new counter-espionage law targeting the American consulting companies. And that's why some companies have already been raided. Their office in Beijing and Shanghai has been raided by the CCP police, and some business executives are prevented from traveling back to the U.S. And according to the American Chamber of Commerce latest survey among American companies doing business in China, 52% of the U.S. business doing business in China are pessimistic about their environment. And 40% are actually looking to redirect their China investment to other parts of the Asian countries. So I have no idea why these business executives are paying $40,000 just to sit next to Xi Jinping. What's the message they're trying to send to Xi? Are they going to press Xi Jinping to provide a fair game environment for the American business to do business in China? Or are they going to talk about how are you going to make China a more democratic country and giving people their, human rights and their political free speech? I don't think that these American executives is going to raise any of the critical interests representing both the Chinese people or the American people.
I would agree with you. These corporations want profit over everything, even human rights and freedom of speech.